All right, so let's go back over to our design, and we've got background image and our wrapper background. And now it's time to start grabbing some of the other images that we'll use for our design. If I click on slideshow, it's going to show me the pictures that I'm using for the 6 slides in my slideshow on this particular site. Each one of these needs to be its own slice. So let me just quickly turn those off again. And now I grab my slice tool again. And actually what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab that tool and I'm going to create the smallest slice I can around this image. Now what I'm going to be forced to do in my CSS because of this is to create a div that exactly fits here. Not hard to do, but this is the way we'll have to do it for now. The other way to do this would be to get rid of the background and make this slice into a transparent PNG. The problem with that is they're much, much bigger. Let me demonstrate. If I take that slice as a JPEG, it is 11 kilobytes. However, as a PNG, it's 156 kilobytes. Now there's lots of compression I can do with this, and I can mess with this until I get it lower. I can back that down to a 8 or PNG 8 and it's 41 kilobytes, but that's still nowhere near as good as a JPEG at 11. And so I'm going to stick with a JPEG, and I'm going to put the background back in. Let's just take another peek at that just to make sure. And this JPEG is 16 kilobytes in size. So I'm going to have 6 of those loading on the page. It's not too bad, not too heavy. So I'm ready to, I can save this right now. And instead of HTML and images, I'm going to say images only and selected slice. And I'm going to call this slide 1. And it's going to throw that into the images directory for me as slide1_04. And if I preview it, I can see it there. So if I come back over to my Photoshop file and show the next one, I can redo what I just did. Make sure that's selected, make sure it's still a JPEG, and call it slide 2. Now again, back over here, I'm going to have slide1_04, slide 2_04, and I can see the preview, and it's exactly the same size. The beauty of doing it this way is my images will always be exactly the same size. So my CSS can be very precise. And it will never ever move the image out of the way. I'm going to use front page slideshow to do this once we're done. And it's going to do a great job, again, of putting everything where it needs to be. So we've got our 6 images ready for our slideshow. So let's go ahead and hide that again. The next step is to grab our text images. Now we could do this in one large image if we wanted to, and it wouldn't be very big. Let's just take a quick peek at that. If I come across here and create a slice that's exactly that large, double click, it's 365 by 192. If I press that, it's going to be about a 4 kilobyte JPEG or a 14 kilobyte PNG. Now this isn't bad because I can use a transparent PNG to go across each one to create the links that I want for the rollovers. I want to keep my design pretty simple and my layout pretty simple. I'm going to create these in 3 slices. So the rollovers will be very precise. And my files will be really small. So now I can press, and I have to make these PNGs because they need to be transparent so they can overlay over the background. And they're really small, just 4K each. So now I'm going to call this Adventure. call this one, click on it to select it, change it to PNG, call it Discovery, and do the same thing here, Friendship, PNG. And Photoshop is going to append the slice number to each one of these. So I can change this, or I can leave it the same. It's really no big deal. Probably better to change it from a Google perspective, especially when you start putting alt text in. Okay, so I've got my 3 keywords here. I need to do my logo area, so let's go ahead and do that. My sponsorship area, I should say. And again, what I'm going to do here is just get rid of the background, grab my slice tool, and I know this logo is actually a little bit bigger than what I have here, so I'm going to make that slice about that big. Again, save, select, PNG, and hit save. So that's all there is to it for this part of the design. I still need to do my rollovers, but that's really simple, and you've already seen how we're going to do those, because all I need to do now is just hide everything else, grab my tool, and create a new slice around that. And I would repeat that for the rest of them. So we have our slices. Let's move on to the next section.